But attempts to mate Akef, the big male from the ill-fated Mozambique circus, with the Italian female are proving difficult. Akef is overprotective, even preventing the lioness from eating when the meat truck arrives. Finally though, Sissy makes her breakthrough.
We'll see you up in the front there, Mark. You're gonna go to that sort of middle central area. Where are you gonna go?
In the next enclosure, Arturo, the Italian Barbary male, is about to be sedated. His attention to his sister Cece through the fence is hampering mating efforts, and Peter Rogers is keen to move the big male. He shoots the dart into Arturo's rump. Arturo has been sterilized, but while his breeding days are finished, he'll live out his days at the center. His female companion, another Barbary from the Mozambique circus, is drawn away by the meat truck. It's 20 minutes before the anesthetic takes effect.
Nice to be the supervisor. Ready? You need all your help at the bottom just to put him back into the cage, okay? One, two, yeah.
The anesthetic gives Peter Rogers and his team a chance to check over the 12-year-old lion. He'll spend a few weeks in this cage before being returned to his enclosure for observation.
I still want to inject him and everything, Mark. It's very exciting to be part of this project because they feel that there are perhaps not many Barbaries, if any, that are really pure, that are left even in captivity. They feel that over time other animals from other genetic bases are brought in. So there's a big project afoot, Oxford University, to do the genetics. So that's just getting off the ground now. Okay. We just put under the skin on the neck, if we can find the skin under this big beard of his. Normally lions wouldn't have this many ticks, but being from Italy, a European lion, doesn't have that innate or inherent resistance to ticks. It does come with time. Like a bit of a what we can do is we can put him in there and roll him over inside there. Immediate term now is to get these ones to breed. And we'll take it day by day from there and see how it goes. But the prime object initially was just to get these animals back into good health, and it's developed into something a lot bigger. Yeah.
While the breeding centre's lions are healthy, it's not the case a few kilometres away in the Kruger National Park, where TB has ravaged half the population. Infected buffalo have been blamed for the outbreak, primarily in the south of the park, and attempts are being made to fence off the diseased area.
And the lions are preying on infected buffalo. Because it's an exotic disease, not an indigenous disease, the lions are totally naive and they've got no resistance to it. So it's a big problem. It's a very difficult decision to make as to what to do. It's a very topical and heated subject at the moment.
Mpinda, the night stalk has begun. Nabambo keeps her cubs close. They're hungry, but tonight only Impala can be tracked down, a morsel for the lioness. Food is scarce at this time of year, so the pride's territory covers a large area. Lions can only afford to be territorial where there is a reliable supply of game. Jabu wants to mate. He's been with his pride for nearly a year now, but Nabambo would prefer a larger group of males around her. Eventually, though, Jabu will have to join forces with other males to have a chance of keeping this pride. The big male is only 7 years old and a fine specimen, weighing in at just under 200 kilograms. For the moment, he's secure. Although tonight, Nabambo has hunting on her mind. The cubs follow in the lioness's wake. If there is a kill, she will feed first. Often, weak cubs lose out to a hungry mother. High juvenile mortality rates are the result of lean times. Jabu has had enough. He's been walking for hours. Sleep is more important. And the zebra he ate 2 days ago will suffice for another night. Nabambo has made a kill, a young Nyala buck. It's been 3 days since the pride has eaten, and this will provide meat for them all. But the lioness will eat first. The cubs know the routine. They will get their turn. But Nkosi is hungry. He creeps towards his mother. As the biggest of the cub, Nkosi watches. A lioness can eat more than 20 kilograms in a single sitting. This could be a long wait for the little cub. Nkosi approaches the kill cautiously. Sometimes a lioness will turn on the cubs, but today Nabambo is pleased with her efforts. Nabambo has had her fill, for the moment anyway. Lions never eat the stomach of a kill. She will bury it before dragging off the carcass. This way, hyenas and other predators are thrown off the scent. The evidence has been buried. The carcass is no more. Nabambo's daughter hears the call. It is the second this morning. The first was the strangling cry of the Nyala as Nabambo broke the young buck's back. There was no struggle. The big lioness is a seasoned hunter. The rest of the pride will feast on the carcass after Nabamba retires. But first, they will drag it into the bushes, away from prying eyes, away from raptors already circling the kill scene. Has created a nervous edge. Even the hippo, its bad temper legendary, is flustered, anxious to protect its waterhole. Wildebeest are a favourite prey for lions. Naturally, they feel vulnerable. But for the pride, there is no agitation. Gorged, they will sleep for the next day. Even Mveli and Damana, the 7-week twins, have tasted blood for the first time. But it will be many months before they take part in a hunt. For the moment, they just want to play with Nkosi. The older cub is beginning to take on the shaggy mane of the bigger males. Within 18 months, he will be hunting with them, competing for his own pride. In the meantime, though, he has to contend with his young siblings. Jabu rejoins the pride. He has missed out on the kill, but he didn't share his zebra with the rest of the pride the previous day. A half-hearted attempt at mating, but the big lion's attention is drawn to a curious onlooker. With the pride so close, the giraffe won't be sitting for long. Drinking and sitting is when they are at their most vulnerable. Jabu keeps an eye on his group. Pride takeovers by other males are common, and savage fights can occur between the pride male and the intruder. If a takeover is successful, the new male will usually kill all the suckling young of his former rival. When a nursing mother loses her cubs, she comes into heat within a few weeks. The normal interval between cubs is about 2 years, with a gestation time of 3 to 4 months. Jabu marks his territory, but it may soon be all in vain. A fresh infusion of lion genes is necessary to avoid the effects of long-term inbreeding. It's likely Jabu and his son Tembi will be swapped for males from another game reserve. This will broaden the bloodlines of future lions and avoid the genetic risks currently facing the pride at Pinda. Vultures have found the dead buck, but there is little left of the carcass. Nabamba and her pride have eaten. The big lioness tries to dislodge Inyala fur from her teeth. Tomorrow, the next day, there will be another kill. Nabamba's cubs will grow up strong. The lion is the greatest of all predators, the essence of all that is Africa. And yet, there are fewer than 50,000 left in the wild. The future for the species lies in managed reserves such as Pinda. Here in Zululand, the lion roams free for the first time since the beginning of this century. At Pinda, the philosophy has always been simple. Africa's wildlife land, undervalued and underutilized, is the continent's most precious natural resource. Focusing on the animals, their habitat and local communities is just the beginning of an African renaissance. Pinda is, after all, the Zulu word for return. Maybe too, it's a chance for man to redeem himself just a little.
The males, on the other hand, are very interested. These two lionesses are barely 20 months old and still cub-like. Male lions are known to kill cubs they haven't shot. No one knows how this will play out. After 3 days, Lady makes a U-turn and returns to the fenced-off boma. The two young females respond to her calls. The connection between Lady and the cubs is immediate. She engages. Cats are vulnerable when they expose their undersides. When they roll, they express submissiveness. But trouble is on the way. Lady's body posture changes. She knows that the males could attack his new residence. Ears back, every muscle contracted. She puts the males in their place. Four cats now crowd her space, after years of solitude. When the males were in the boma, Lady disappeared for days. But now she is intrigued by the cubs. She keeps constant vigil. The electrical current that runs through the fence is non-lethal, but does give a sharp jolt. Lady is clever. She discovers a broken wire and tries to gain access where the circuit is breached. The males are perturbed by the new arrivals. But before they get any ideas, Lady asserts herself. The balance of power might have shifted, but she's still in control. After 5 weeks in the boma, the team feels the young females are ready to be released. Not sure how the males will react, they lure them away with a fresh carcass. The young cubs have also not been fed for a couple of days. When the gates open, a new chapter begins. Lady is first on the scene. The cubs have spent more than a month in the boma to adjust. The question now is whether this newly forged bond will hold when they step through the gate. The first encounter turns into a catfight. But it is more show than anything else. If Lady wants to kill these cubs, she can do so in the blink of an eye. The first contact might seem aggressive, but it plays out according to plan. Lady is doing exactly what the team hoped for. She accepts them in her territory and establishes her dominance. The landscape of Luau now looks very different from the days when Lady followed her to his camp. Now 2 young and subdued females follow her. But Lady is not used to having an entourage. She's not at all familiar with the dynamics of pride. Now that she has her freedom back, she does the unexpected. She abandons them.
The most conspicuous features of the country's terrain are the dramatic cliff-ridden mountains. They cover most of the northern country and extend along the Myanmar border on the west. In this hostile environment of rugged, rocky terrain, the cool temperature encourages the growth of flowers and ferns. Thailand is home to 10% of the world's flowering plants, with more than 27,000 different species, some of which survive and bloom in this harsh landscape. Their names read like poetry. Parrot flower, water lily, Chinese rose, but as poetic and beautiful as the flowers may be, they need help to survive. Birds, along with butterflies, bees and other insects, play an important role in helping flowers to reproduce. The birds search for food, shelter, and nesting material. In turn, they carry the pollen from one flower to another, helping to pollinate the plants. The rainforest is full of life, noisy life. Each morning, upon awakening, the gibbon family announces its presence using their territorial hooting call that can be heard several kilometers away. The call warns intruding gibbons and other animals to stay out of their territory. Although gibbons are the smallest of the ape species, member of the primates, cousin to the gorilla, chimpanzee, orangutan, and ourselves, they are kings and queens of the forest canopy. Gibbons are omnivorous, eating a variety of foods. They forage during the day, eating figs, a variety of fruits, leaves, and flowers. But the white-handed gibbon is particularly fruitiferous, and its presence in a forest is a good indication of a plentiful supply of fruiting trees. In a forest glade, another mammal is looking for food, the black bear. The gibbons are curious and attentive, not too cautious. To be on the safe side, the brownish-furred female seeks comfort with her chosen black-furred male. The black bear will climb to rest, sleep, eat, or lure enemies, but is much too slow for the gibbons. The masters of the canopy. Whether walking on their feet on the tops of the branches, or swinging from one branch to another in a form of locomotion known as brachiating. Luckily, there is honey, left over from the day before. Bears aren't choosy and will eat a wide variety of foods. Peace is soon restored to the forest camp. Black bear is active during nighttime. But what do Asian black bears actually do at night? This is their secret. After a night with a lot of dancing, digging, scratching, and stretching, time for a well-deserved nap. The tropical forest is characterized by high rainfall, a minimum of 200 centimeters annually. Around 50% of all biotic species are indigenous to the rainforest. Where there is rain, there are waterfalls. Where there are waterfalls, there are rivers. Where there are rivers, there is life. Big life. Bantam. Wild cattle quenching their thirst in the river. A crocodile pretends it's asleep, just waiting for the next bite. The sambar deer family, the stag monitoring the young, rocking antlers. The rarely seen and endangered tiger, looking for prey. Elephants cooling down their body temperature. Wild pigs teaching their offspring to cross a river. The Asian wild water buffalo, weighing up to 1,000 kilograms, a ton, like a medium-sized car, challenged to any predator. In the darker undergrowth of the rainforest, restricted in many areas by poor penetration of sunlight, another kind of life is found. Small life. Like these shrimps, looking for mating grounds. A myriad of insects, ants, larvae, microorganisms, and beetles. Many still unnamed, and thousands probably undiscovered. This is an alien world on the forest floor. Being a beautiful butterfly has its price. It's a titbit for the collared falconet. Brutally, it removes the head, eats it, and throws the wings back into the air. Individuals are born, hunted, killed, and eaten in an everlasting cycle of life and death. Dragonflies come in varied colors and shapes. Their bodies often blue, green, or purple. Their wings seem to shimmer as if made of transparent silver. Each of their two eyes are made up of 20 to 25,000 tinier eyes, allowing them to zero in on the flying insects that are their daily meals. The position during mating, known as a wheel formation, is unique to insects. The female may lay up to 100,000 eggs at a time, in or near water. After about 2 weeks, the eggs hatch and an immature dragonfly, a nymph, emerges. Once hatched, the nymph spends its time hunting and eating small fish or even members of its own family. It takes 6 months to 7 years for a dragonfly nymph to mature. When it's ready to metamorphose into an adult, it climbs out of water and up a plant to shed its final nymphal skin. Long before the dinosaurs walked the earth 300 million years ago, dragonflies took to the air. And now, after years in the water, yet another beautiful dragonfly is born. It will feed and mate, and then it will die. The archer fish. By squirting drops of water from its specialized mouth, the fish can knock down insects sitting on overhanging vegetation. They are able to hit their prey at distances of up to about 2 meters. Formation, a group of deep limestone caves. It's like a vampire's castle, home to strange underworld formations and rare, mysterious cave dwellers, like bats searching for evening prey. And the waterfall climbing cave fish. A sensation, and still a mystery. This is the only place in the world where one can get a glimpse of these blind fish with fins almost like feet that allow them to climb up ledges. They have no eyes, and their bodies lack all pigmentation. Pink, white, slightly translucent, like ghosts. This is about as close as one can get to aliens on Earth. Another day in the forest canopy. Gibbons live in small monogamous families composed of a mated pair and up to 4 offspring. They mate for life, unlike most of the great apes. Since they are vulnerable to predators on the forest floor, they spend most of their lives in trees. They drink rainwater from tree holes, often by dipping a hand into the water and then slurping it up from their fur. There is no breeding season. Gibbons may copulate any day, and the female will come into estrus at any time of the year. Gibbon families form tremendously strong and emotional bonds with each other. A poignant picture of motherhood. The dusky langur is another canopy dweller. Like gibbons, the langurs spend most of their time in trees. They fear water and will cross no body of it, river, lake, or swamp. When daylight starts to shimmer away, a giant shadow of doom from the underworld fills the sky. Clouds of thousands upon thousands of bats emerge from the caves to feed on small insects. When the night shift begins, different species take over. A night owl, various tree frogs, a civet, or as it is also called, a toddy cat, a snake, the peninsular pit viper. Tropical rainforests are home to many kinds of colorful birds. The red-breasted parakeets, the green magpie, whiskered tree swift, Chinese pond heron, and a fish eagle. A white-throated kingfisher, blue magpie, plain prinia, superstar of Poropet Lake, the pied kingfisher. This boldly patterned black and white plumaged bird may watch for prey from a perch, as many other kingfisher species do. Then they dive into the water, creating a shower, reappearing with its stabbed prey in its wake. More often, the pine may hover mid-air for up to a minute, taking its time to locate the perfect meal. Pied kingfisher is the largest bird capable of a true hover. When back on its perch, it tosses the fish into the air, catches it deftly, and makes sure to swallow it head first. Birds